Leonardo da Vinci, the Renaissance genius who painted the Mona Lisa, designed flying machines and conducted secret human dissections, all while leaving dozens of projects unfinished. For 500 years, historians called him the ultimate Renaissance man. But modern psychology has a different diagnosis. Leonardo da Vinci had the most famous case of ADHD in human history. Picture this, it's 3 a.m. in Leonardo's workshop. He's frantically sketching birdwing anatomy while three commissioned paintings glare at him from their easels, unfinished and overdue. His mind races from a flying machine design inspired by watching birds to a new military fortification to the perfect mathematical proportions of the human face. This isn't artistic temperament. This is a hyperactive brain operating at full capacity. But here's the mind-blowing revelation. Leonardo's supposed defects, his scattered focus, his inability to finish projects, his chaotic work habits, weren't obstacles to overcome. They were the exact psychological ingredients that created history's most innovative mind. Today, we're going to decode the hidden psychology behind Leonardo's genius using cutting-edge neuroscience and modern ADHD research. If you've ever felt too scattered, too distracted, or too different to achieve greatness, this video will revolutionize how you see your own potential. Hit that subscribe button because we're about to discover how neurodiversity drives human innovation. We'll explore how Leonardo's chaos was actually sophisticated cognitive strategy, decode his extreme personality through modern psychological frameworks, examine his mirror writing and what it reveals about his unique brain, uncover why his procrastination enabled rather than hindered his greatest discoveries, and learn how to apply Leonardo's methods to unleash your own creative potential. Most people see Leonardo as the ultimate Renaissance gentleman, cultured, refined, methodically brilliant. But this romanticized image completely misses the psychological reality of how his mind actually worked. Let's look at the evidence. Leonardo wrote over 13,000 pages of notes, but they're completely disorganized. No systematic filing, no logical progression, just scattered observations jumping from anatomy to engineering to philosophy, often on the same page. His mirror writing makes them nearly unreadable to others. This isn't the work of a methodical genius. It's the output of a hyperactive mind that couldn't slow down long enough for conventional organization. Then there's his legendary inability to finish projects. The adoration of the Magi? Started but never completed. Saint Jerome in the wilderness? Abandoned. The Battle of Anghiari? Left unfinished. He started dozens of paintings and sculptures, completing fewer than 15 paintings in his entire career. For someone supposedly obsessed with perfection, he sure had trouble reaching the finish line. But when we apply modern ADHD criteria to Leonardo's documented behaviors, everything suddenly makes sense. Difficulty with task completion? Check. Hyper-focus on interesting subjects followed by complete loss of interest? Absolutely. Problems with organization and time management? Constantly. Restlessness and need for constant stimulation? His notebooks document his mind jumping between subjects sometimes within the same paragraph. The first major revelation, what history labeled as divine inspiration or artistic temperament, was actually a specific neurological condition that we're only now beginning to understand. Leonardo wasn't struggling with ADH, he was leveraging it. To understand Leonardo's psychology, we need to examine his unconventional childhood in Vinci, Italy. Born illegitimate to Ser Piero da Vinci and a peasant woman named Caterina, Leonardo's early experiences created the perfect conditions for an ADHD mind to flourish. Here's the crucial difference. While legitimate sons attended rigid Latin schools with rote memorization and strict discipline, absolute torture for an ADH brain, Leonardo was free to explore. No forced sitting still, no boring repetition. Instead, he wandered the countryside, observing birds in flight, sketching flowers, watching water flow over rocks. This freedom was psychologically crucial. ADHD brains learn best through hands-on exploration, a visual processing, and following their natural curiosity. Leonardo's illegitimate status accidentally created the ideal learning environment for his neurology. He developed what modern psychologists call interest-driven learning. Intense focus on fascinating subjects, complete avoidance of boring material. From an attachment theory perspective, Leonardo's relationship with his father created both drive and insecurity. Ser Piero acknowledged him but kept emotional distance, providing material support while withholding full acceptance. This created an anxious, ambivalent attachment pattern, desperately seeking approval through achievement while maintaining fierce independence. This childhood template played out in Leonardo's entire approach to work and relationships. He would begin projects with passionate intensity, seeking approval and recognition, but abandon them when they became routine or when criticism threatened his fragile self-esteem. His famous statement, "Obstacles cannot crush me. Every obstacle yields to stern resolve," reveals someone consciously fighting against his natural tendency toward avoidance. Most importantly, Leonardo learned that his unconventional mind was actually an advantage. While other children memorized Latin texts, he was discovering principles of physics by watching birds fly and principles of hydraulics by observing streams. His ADHD brain's need for novelty and stimulation drove him to explore subjects that formal education completely ignored. Let's decode Leonardo's personality using the Big Five model and prepare to see how extreme his psychological profile really was. Openness to experience. Leonardo was literally off the charts. We're talking 99th percentile. But this wasn't just curiosity, this was a mind that needed constant novel stimulation to function. His notebooks contain observations on subjects ranging from cloud formations to muscle movements to military engineering. This extreme openness enabled revolutionary cross-domain thinking, but also contributed to his scattered focus. Conscientiousness. Here's where it gets fascinating. Leonardo was simultaneously hyper-organized and completely chaotic. When something captured his interest, he could work with obsessive precision for months. His anatomical drawings required hundreds of hours of detailed observation. But projects that bored him? Completely abandoned. This selective conscientiousness is a classic ADHD pattern. Extreme focus on interesting tasks, total avoidance of mundane ones. Extroversion. Leonardo was in the 35th percentile, preferring small groups or solitary work. But this wasn't shyness, it was cognitive necessity. ADHD brains often find social situations overwhelming because they're already processing so much internal stimulation. Leonardo needed quiet environments to manage his hyperactive mind. Agreeableness. Leonardo was in the 25th percentile, meaning he was more willing than most people to challenge authority and conventional wisdom. This disagreeableness was essential for innovation. He dissected human bodies when it was considered blasphemous, designed military machines for competing rulers, and questioned established scientific principles. You can't revolutionize multiple fields by being agreeable. Neuroticism. Leonardo was in the 70th percentile, experiencing significant anxiety and perfectionism. But here's the crucial insight. This emotional sensitivity drove his incredible attention to detail. His anxiety about making mistakes led to his obsessive observation and documentation. His perfectionism, while preventing completion of many works, ensured that what he did finish was extraordinary. This personality profile, combined with ADH neurology, created a perfect storm for revolutionary thinking. His extreme openness generated endless interesting connections. His selective conscientiousness enabled deep exploration of fascinating subjects. His disagreeableness allowed him to reject conventional wisdom, and his neuroticism provided the emotional intensity to pursue perfection. Now let's examine Leonardo's most mysterious behavior, his habitual mirror writing. For centuries, people thought this was either an attempt at secrecy or artistic affectation, But modern neuroscience suggests something far more interesting. As a left-handed person, Leonardo's brain was organized differently than right-handed individuals. His language centers were likely distributed across both hemispheres rather than concentrated in the left hemisphere. This atypical brain organization may have made mirror writing neurologically easier, possibly even more natural than conventional writing. Add ADH to the mix, and mirror writing makes even more sense. ADHD brains often struggle with executive functions like motor planning and sequencing. For Leonardo's fast-moving mind, mirror writing may have been simply more efficient, allowing him to capture thoughts at the speed they occurred without slowing down for conventional letter formation. Then there's Leonardo's legendary procrastination. But this wasn't laziness, it was sophisticated psychological strategy. Research shows that ADHD minds often work best under pressure, when deadline urgency provides the stimulation needed for focus. Leonardo's last-minute work sessions may have been when his brain functioned optimally. His habit of working on multiple projects simultaneously also makes psychological sense. ADHD brains need variety and stimulation to maintain engagement. When one project became routine or boring, Leonardo could switch to another that rekindled his interest. This wasn't scattered attention, it was strategic attention management. His compulsive note-taking reveals another ADHD coping mechanism. ADHD minds often struggle with working memory. They can generate brilliant insights but forget them quickly. Leonardo's extensive documentation served as an external memory system, preserving ideas that might otherwise have been lost. Yeah, his obsessive anatomical studies demonstrate ADHD hyperfocus in action. When something truly captured Leonardo's interest, he could sustain attention for extraordinary periods. He reportedly dissected over 30 human cadavers, spending months on detailed studies that others found gruesome or boring. This wasn't just scientific curiosity, it was hyperfocus enabling discoveries that casual observation couldn't achieve. So what can Leonardo's psychology teach us about creativity, productivity, and managing neurodivergent minds? The lessons are both revolutionary and practical. First lesson, embrace productive chaos. Leonardo's scattered interests weren't distractions. They were cross-pollinating insights that enabled breakthrough innovations. His flying machine designs were informed by bird anatomy. His painting techniques were enhanced by his studies of water flow and light physics. Modern creatives can learn to see apparent chaos as potential creativity rather than dysfunction. Second, design your environment for your brain, not against it. Leonardo created workspaces that supported his need for stimulation and variety. Multiple projects visible simultaneously. Visual inspiration everywhere. Easy access to different tools and materials. If you have an ADHD brain, stop trying to force yourself into sterile, minimalist environments and create spaces that feed your neurological needs. Third, follow your genuine curiosity over external obligations. Leonardo's greatest achievements emerged from authentic fascination, not commissioned work. His anatomical discoveries came from personal curiosity about how bodies worked. His engineering innovations emerged from genuine wonder about natural phenomena. Protecting time for curiosity-driven exploration is essential for innovative thinking. Fourth, develop external memory systems. Leonardo's extensive notebooks weren't just record-keeping, they were cognitive enhancement tools. ADHD minds generate lots of ideas but struggle to retain them. Regular documentation, whether through writing, sketching, or digital tools, helps preserve insights that might otherwise disappear. Fifth, practice selective focus rather than forced attention. Leonardo didn't fight his natural attention patterns. He learned to work with them. When interest waned on one project, he switched to another. When hyperfocus kicked in, he wrote it as long as it lasted. Understanding your own attention rhythms enables much more effective work. Final lesson, deliberately seek knowledge outside your primary field. Leonardo's innovations emerged from combining insights across different domains. Modern research confirms that breakthrough innovations usually occur at the intersection of different fields. Cultivate broad interests rather than narrow specialization. Leonardo da Vinci's psychological profile reveals one of history's most important truths. What we call genius is often the result of neurological differences that enable unique cognitive advantages when properly understood and supported. We've seen how his ADHD created the perfect conditions for revolutionary thinking, how his mirror writing reflected atypical brain organization that enhanced his visual-spatial abilities, how his procrastination was actually sophisticated cognitive strategy, and how his scattered interests enabled cross-domain innovations that focused specialists couldn't achieve. Leonardo's story fundamentally challenges how we think about productivity, success, and human potential. His unfinished paintings weren't failures. They were evidence of a mind so innovative it constantly discovered new frontiers to explore. His chaotic notebooks weren't disorganized. They were external processing systems that supported his unique cognitive style. For anyone who's ever felt too scattered, too different, or too unconventional for traditional success, Leonardo's example is profoundly liberating. The traits that make you feel defective might actually be cognitive superpowers waiting to be understood and leveraged. If you found Leonardo's psychology fascinating, you'll love my analysis of how Einstein's social anxiety enabled breakthrough thinking, or my deep dive into Tesla's obsessive behaviors and how they powered world-changing innovations. What aspects of Leonardo's psychology resonate with your own creative process? Do you work better with multiple projects or single focus? Have you found ways to turn apparent weaknesses into strengths? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want to understand the hidden psychology behind history's greatest minds, subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'm constantly researching how neurodiversity drives human innovation. Your next breakthrough might be just one insight away from understanding your own unique cognitive advantages. Thanks for joining me on this exploration of Leonardo's extraordinary mind. Remember his words, learning never exhausts the mind. Until next time, keep questioning everything, especially assumptions about what makes minds remarkable.